Hi guys, I'm Leah Deutsch, the Yoga Doc, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So we're going to practice a little bit more of an active practice today, so a bit more energetic, and I would recommend, if you haven't done any warm-up, that you check out my slow flow floor work practices on my YouTube channel and maybe do those so that you're not coming into this completely cold. So if you want to join me, carrying on now, we're going to need a blanket. So if you want to have a bit more cushioning for your knees, it's always useful to have a blanket close by and a block of some sort or a cushion just to help you with a bit more support through your practice. It doesn't have to be a yoga block, just something to give you a little bit more support. So coming down into child's pose to begin with, so toes touching, knees apart. If you're a bit further on in pregnancy, you might want to have a bolster just to support your head and your baby a bit more, so resting your head and chest on that, or a block. But either way, coming down, toes touching, knees apart, resting the head on the ground, and just sitting here for a couple of breaths. Walking the hands to the left side, finding that stretch through the right side of the body. And maybe placing the right hand on the left, feeling that intensification of the stretch. And then walking over to the opposite side. Right hand reaches out, maybe left hand lays on top, and feeling that just stretch through the left side of the body a bit more. Taking a couple of breaths. Coming back to center once more. Coming up now into all fours, so here's where your blanket comes in handy to rest your knees on. Placing your hands, spreading your fingertips, index finger or middle finger, pressing forward, pointing towards the front of the mat. And you're going to really press that base of your thumb into the mat, so the whole of your hand has contact with your mat. And then you're going to tuck your toes under, coming up into your first downward facing dog. So this is something that a lot of people struggle with, especially when they're beginning out in yoga. They really hate this pose because it feels too tough and it hurts their shoulders. So we're going to do a few little tips to begin with, just to help you work into that first downward facing dog, and I promise you it gets easier. If at any point you need to stop or it's too much, then just come back to sit in child's pose as we did just now. It's always your go-to pose. So tucking the toes under to begin with and starting to lift the hips up off the ground, keeping a really strong bend in the feet and knees to start with. So feet are hip 2.5 fists apart, so not too narrow, not too wide, a nice stable base, hip width apart. And we're going to work into the front of the body to begin with, so pressing down with the hands as we did with to begin with into that thumb base, working up through the arms and rotating the upper arms, inner elbows, so that they're turning forward to push towards the front of the mat. So you're rotating them, externally rotating them, and feeling that opening through the shoulder girdle as you do so. Drawing your baby towards your spine now, sort of drawing up, and imagining that there's a belt around your hips that's pulling you back to in a diagonal line towards the back of the room. And then start to work the feet out now. So you're starting to walk the feet out a little bit more, heels pedal down towards the mat. So one at a time now, trying to maintain all those points of focus that we talked about as we moved into this posture. Working through the hamstrings, working through the calf muscles, and gazes back towards the lower belly here. And then coming to a moment of stillness in your downward facing dog. Drawing the right leg up into the air now, flexing through the heel. If you have pelvic girdle issues, then staying here with that alignment. If you're okay with your hips, then you can start to bend that right leg, drawing the knee upwards and the heel towards your left buttock. So opening up, really lifting through that knee. The knee is the highest point. Start to draw that left heel down towards the ground. Make sure you're pushing into both hands equally so that you're not dumping into one side. And then start to extend that right leg back behind you once again, coming into that parallel alignment. Right knee draws forward, and then you're going to step that forward. So you may need to help your foot, bringing it forward between your legs. You may need to heel toe it, walk it forward, and then you're going to drop that left knee down. So you want a nice diagonal line here from the knee to the hip, so that it's a nice straight stretch through that front of that hip here. And then you're going to push into that front thigh and come up into your low lunge. So from here, lifting up, tucking the tailbone under, and then sinking down a bit more into that front leg. Inhaling, sweeping the arms up, opening the arms, so little fingers to rotate slightly towards each other. Draw up with the chest and lean back just a little bit here to open the chest, taking a couple of breaths here. Breathing deeply. Gaze is in front of you, even though that chest is lifted. And then releasing the hands, left hand comes down to the inside of the right foot, and the right arm stretches up, reaching up into the sky, feeling that gentle twist through the upper body. Take a couple of breaths. And then exhaling, bringing the right hand down inside the foot. Heel toe that right foot out to the side now so that you're widening the stance here. And we're just going to come into a few little gentle circles, so really pushing down with those hands once more, spreading the fingertips out and start to rotate. So you may want to move the foot back or forward here a little bit to get that movement feeling much more liquid. And this is a really great one to use in labour, in any stage really. It helps baby move back down. It's really nice to keep moving as you're moving in and having your contractions, or in any stage of labour really. And then rotating the opposite direction. And then coming to stillness once again. We're going to come into lizard pose. So if you've got any pelvic girdle issues, hold fire for a minute and just stay here. Otherwise, we're going to come forward. So you start to walk your hands forward. You may find that this is enough and you bend your elbows slightly and just draw your chest towards the floor. You may want to have a block or a bolster just to rest your upper body on, or rest your arms on as you come down. If you want to intensify this a little bit more, bringing the forearms down towards the mat and allowing the head to drop down. Taking a few breaths here. If you have pelvic girdle issues, you're back in your low lunge, and you can start to sit back onto your heel, bringing that right foot extended into half monkey, so lifting up and just staying here, resting on that back heel. Taking one more breath if you're in your lizard pose. And then starting to walk your way all the way back up. And bringing that right knee in line with the left, coming to tabletop once more, tucking the toes under, drawing the hips back, coming into your downward facing dog. Heels move towards the hip mat. So the intention is there to draw the heels down, but they're not quite touching. Drawing the hips back, bending the knees, inhaling, lifting up through the toes, exhaling, drawing the heels down. Taking a couple more here. So we talked before about that flat-footedness that comes with pregnancy due to the relaxing hormones that we produce, the relaxin and the progesterone. So working through the feet here, strengthening the muscles, working through the fascia is really helpful. Taking two more. And then finally lifting up, resting down, lifting the left foot up, this time straight behind you, remembering to keep it straight here if you've got pelvic girdle issues. Otherwise, bringing that left heel towards the right buttock, drawing the left knee up towards the sky, opening through the hip, pressing evenly between each hand, and then drawing the left knee back behind you into that straight three-legged dog. Left knee draws forward towards the hands, so helping your foot forward, or heel toeing it forward. Right knee rests on the mat. Bringing up, pushing into that front foot and coming up into your low lunge. Coming up onto that back knee a little bit more, tucking the tailbone under, and then sinking forward a little bit more into your low lunge. Inhaling, sweeping arms up. Little fingers point towards each other, and we're going to hold that imaginary beach ball. As we lift the chest, gaze is forward, not straining the neck here. Taking a couple of breaths, open the chest, lift it as if imagine you've got a bar at the shoulder blades and you're draping your upper body and head behind you over that bar. Taking a couple more. And then exhaling, bringing the hands down. Right hand comes inside the left foot. Left arm reaches up, coming into your twist on the opposite side. Pushing down with that right hand, lifting up, stretching through the fingers of the left arm. Taking one more breath. And then left hand comes down towards the mat, heel toeing the feet out to the side. Coming into your lizard pose, or your options that we talked about for the opposite side. So remembering you can rest on a block, a bolster, or coming into your half monkey. So coming down into your lizard pose, maybe resting the forearms, maybe bearing in mind that one side is a little bit less flexible than the opposite. Taking one more breath here, and then wherever you're at, just coming into that low lunge again and finding those circles, moving one way. Making sure you've got that nice diagonal line between that back knee and the front knee, and that the knee is not coming over the ankle here, it's directly above it, rotating the opposite direction. And then coming to stillness, bringing the left knee back towards the right, and then sitting back into your child's pose once more. So well done on taking some time for yourself and completing this video. If you'd like to extend your practice today, then go ahead and click on one of the other videos below. If this is all the time that you've got, then I would strongly recommend that you take a couple of minutes just to come into a resting shavasana to consolidate your practice. For suggestions on how to position your body, then click on the shavasana video below. Enjoy your day, and namaste. If you've enjoyed this class and would like access to more free videos, then don't forget to go ahead and click subscribe.